All right, everybody, welcome to episode 93 of the Slip and Weave podcast. I like this thing I'm doing lately where I'm like a little scruffy for the intro video, and then for the interview, I'm like clean shaven. It's a nice little switch up, keep everybody on their toes. Couple fights to highlight this week. Tim Tszyu getting the ninth round stoppage over Tony Harrison, becoming essentially either the mandatory or just what's expected from Jermell Charlo next. I really like this matchup. I think Tim Tszyu is a much more talented fighter than he's been getting credit for. Really knew just the right amount of pressure to put on Tony Harrison throughout the duration of this fight, and just gradually up the pressure. It was like a slow drowning. It was like the frog in the boiling water. Like he just turned up the heat slowly, and really didn't take a lot of punishment coming in. That some of that was his defense is pretty solid, and some of that is the lack of activity from Harrison. I think anybody watching was a little surprised that he didn't move a little more, that he didn't assert himself offensively a little more at any point during the fight. He's got to be honest, I think he's got one of the best jabs in boxing, and he was hitting Tszyu with that pretty consistently. But there wasn't any kind of follow-up from the jab really ever, at least not consistently. And so, Tim could pretty much walk in, throw combinations as he pleased, and ultimately won, all but maybe 2 rounds of this fight. And he's right up there, man. I mean, there's a lot of exciting fighters at 154. I talk about that on this show all the time. It's one of the more exciting divisions in boxing. Tim Tszyu is a guy that matches up well with any of them. At the moment, listen, I've predicted a couple of Jermell Charlo fights wrong in my day. But I definitely think this is a legitimate 50-50 fight. You look at the version of Harrison that he was up against. I think Jermell fought a prime Tony Harrison, so I wouldn't compare the performances. I think Tim Tszyu is a bigger version of Brian Castano, which is a kind of a style that gives Jermell problems, like a smart pressure fighter that's going to get in his chest, make it physical. I love this matchup. This is a great win for Australia. You could see how great the crowd was, the fireworks and all the fire shows and everything. And it was a fitting fight. And I like this confidence in the post-fight interview. I'm a big Tim Tszyu fan, so big ups to him. Looking forward to the Jermell fight. I mean, that was what we were supposed to get in the first place. I think this only makes it that much sweeter. One of my favorite prospects at super middleweight, Diego Pacheco, stopping Jack Cullen in the 4th round with a body shot. The way I see it, it's just a race to the top between Diego Pacheco and David Morrell. At some point, I think that's the collision course that these guys are on. Diego is just a very smart, patient fighter. He's really big. He knows when to explode and when to let his combinations go. Very accurate puncher, and clearly a power puncher. I mean, Jack Cullen's always been a pretty durable, tough guy. Put it on Avni Yildirim a couple of years ago. That was a nice performance for him, but he just didn't really have enough layers to his game to hang with somebody like Pacheco, who spars with David Benavidez, spars with my guy Richard Van Sicklen. He's a young guy, 21 years old or whatever, sparring some of the best fighters in the world. And you can see it. You can see it in his confidence and in how developed his game is already. So I'm really impressed with Diego Pacheco. I don't know what's next for him. I think he's moving the right way. This was not like a gimme opponent, but it is clearly somebody that he's at a different level than. And I'm looking forward to watching his progression, man. I think this guy's the total package. The last one real quick I want to talk about is Carlos Takam getting a bit of an upset win over Tony Yoka. I'm not sure how much of an upset it is. I guess it's a little bit of an upset because of Yoka's, amateur pedigree. But man, Yoka did not show a lot in this one, man. I mean, there was not, he had a nice little jab, and there wasn't much else outside of that. He really, Takam was like 6 inches, 5 inches shorter than him, and was kind of able to just walk in, bully him around. The jab wasn't consistent enough either. So Takam was able to cut the distance, get in Yoka's chest and really just make him uncomfortable for the majority of the fight. Again, the score is fucking crazy that somebody had it 6-4 for Yoka. The other two had it 6-4 for Takam. Man, if they had gotten that wrong or a draw, that would have been an all-timer. You know, and even at that, I don't see how you give Yoka any rounds after the third. I mean, maybe you give him the first three, but from the fourth round on, it's basically Carlos Takam's fight. And, you know, I know Tony went to the Olympics in 2016. There's been some buzz around him as a potential, you know, heavyweight prospect. I'm not seeing it right now. Carlos Takam is a very tough guy who's got some skills. He's a guy who knows, you know, he has a lot of experience fighting bigger, taller guys. But if you look at how Anthony Joshua handled Carlos Takam, he handled him very easily. And people consistently question what level Anthony Joshua is at. I've always said, you know, he's overrated in some ways, underrated in others. You know, and the underrated part is his willingness to fight top competition every single time out. And at that level, he was able to make Carlos Takam look very easy. And a lot of people, I feel, talk about Anthony Joshua like he's Tony Yoka. And I think to see the difference, you know, somebody with this amateur pedigree that's just not really showing up with the kind of offense it would take to win at this contender level. You know, and Carlos Takam is a legitimate contender, you know, been in there with a who's who of his era. And I have a lot of respect for fighters like that. That's why, you know, you can't take somebody like that lightly. I can't speak to how Tony Yoka trained, but it just wasn't a great performance. I've seen him look better physically before. Not entirely sure where he goes from here, but for somebody like Takam, it just kind of keeps him in the mix for another, you know, potentially big fight. And I hope he gets it. You know, he's always been a true pro, and this is a nice win for him. My guest this week, he's back. My guy, Troy Isley, one of the best middleweight prospects in the world. We talk about all kinds of shit, man. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get right into it. All right, we're back, and he's back. Troy Isley, one of the best prospects in boxing, one of my favorite prospects, especially at middleweight. Troy, welcome back to the show, bro. Thanks for coming back.
How you doing, bro? Appreciate you having me, bro.
So the last time we talked, I think it was like in August after you fought the Tony fight.
Yeah.
Since then, you fought Quincy Lavalle. How did you feel in that fight, and just assess your performance against Quincy, who was a very difficult opponent?
I felt good. I felt good. He was tough. I felt like I could have attacked the body more, but I mean, he was tough. He took a lot of my biggest shots. So I mean, the guy was just tough. I felt like I just could have hit the body more, but you know, I felt like I did pretty good. Good assessment. A lot of people had something to say. How his animated look easier and stuff like that, but I felt like I did good.
It was a solid performance, and I remember I was talking about this with Haven Brady a couple of weeks ago, and it's just like a lot of you young guys right now are really actually fighting difficult opponents. You're not fighting opponents that you're supposed to like blast out of there in a round or two, you know?
Yeah.
Can you speak to like the importance of that, at least to you, you know, in fighting guys that are tough?
I feel like that's so like it's good to fight people that are tough now. So like when you get somebody that's good or that's on your level that can hit back, like it's not nothing new. But at the same time, like I feel like right now they're not like tests, but at the same time they are tests. But they're not just easy opponents you can knock out. So I feel like, you know, when we get that real test, we'll be ready because we've fought, you know, good caliber opponents. You ever just came up fighting, you know, trash opponents. So I feel like I feel like it's good to fight good competition now. So when you get a good opponent, you'll be ready for it. I feel like it.
And it's true, bro. I mean, and you can see it like as you guys are developing. You know what I'm saying? Like you, Haven, Jahai, Jared, all these guys we've watched come up, kind of since the bubble. You're all like very complete fighters, and it's because you're not having these easy fights. And even if they're not guys that are threats in terms of like beating you guys, they're guys that
Yeah,
are at least gonna like test your patience. Because
yeah,
like Tony, very difficult to hit. Like the test in that is your patience. Like, can you sustain a game plan? And so far, every time you have.
yeah. I feel like that was definitely the pace for that fight for sure. Patience, and then each fight I feel like definitely shows a different, like you said, a different attribute, and then it also shows what we've been working on in the gym. So I feel the same way.
What are some of the things that you've been working on since the fight with Quincy?
I mean, we pretty much work on everything, but I mean, let my hands go more. I feel like I was throwing a lot of power shots with Quincy. I feel like I didn't, throw any touches, then boom, or I just didn't. I was just throwing a lot of all power, the same speed. So working on changing speed, and then also I've been working on like hoping I don't. I ain't gonna say hoping, but some fights you're gonna have to fight back, not backwards, but you're gonna have to box. So just be on your back foot at least. So I've been working on my legs and fighting on my back foot a little bit more. So just in case I get that guy that I have to box for 6 rounds that I can't press. You feel me? So I've been working on that as well.
It's funny because I remember the first couple of times I got to watch you, you almost reminded me of like because you got some nice knockouts too, and you had the punching power, and you almost reminded me of like an Andre Berto or somebody that was real fast and was knocking guys out a lot. But then as you've gone up in competition, we're kind of seeing that you have like some real boxing ability. Like you're a smart fighter, you got good defense, you got a nice jab. Do you see yourself as more of like a power boxer?
I mean, when I'm comfortable, I feel like that. But I feel like I'm a smart pressure fighter. I don't just go in there just trying to get guys out of there. I feel like I do it the smart way. And some people say it's safe, but hey, I do it the safe way. I break you down. I use body shots, and I feel like definitely I'm a smart pressure fighter, technical, and definitely definitely like to bully guys with his power for sure.
So you're on for April 8th. You're gonna be on the Shakur card.
Yeah, yeah,
That's dope, bro. Do you have an opponent yet?
yeah. We got Roy Barringer. He's 9-3. Toledo, Ohio.
What's his name?
Roy Barringer, something like that.
I'm gonna have to look him up. Do you know anything about the opponent? Any idea what kind of fight you're expecting?
I mean, I feel like he's right there for everything. He's like a pressure fighter. I seen one fight he was on the inside pressing the guy. I look at multiple fights. I don't just look at one fight. So I mean, he seems like he's going to try to press me on the inside. So me and my coach are talking about just boxing him on the outside for a little bit. Breaking him down, touching the body a little bit, and then after round 4, start walking to him.
I was just looking him up just now, just for some context. His last fight, he actually beat a decent guy named Michael Moore, who was on
Yeah.
the last season of the Contender. So that's a decent win. What if you had to map out kind of your ideal 2023 for you and your career and the kind of fights you want right now? Like what would that look like?
I'm trying to get some top 15 fights this year, getting the rankings, and definitely shoot for a title shot next year.
I mean, to be honest with you, bro, the fight that I would love to see in the next, I don't know, year or two, like I think the fight is you and Xander. I think that's such a good matchup, and both of you guys are so talented. I think that'd be a great fight.
Yeah, no, yeah, that'd be a good fight, for the people for sure, for sure. That'd definitely be a good fight.
Any thoughts on Shakur and his matchup? I know the guy he fought just beat Nakatani, who had a fucking crazy fight with Teofimo Lopez. So that's a very high level win. Any thoughts on Shakur's fight?
I mean, I feel like Shakur is gonna box the guy. Too smart. You know, too technical, knows his distance well. So I got support boxing the guy easy. And Nagatani is who's Nakatani? Is that the tall guy, right?
That's the tall guy. This guy just knocked him out.
The tall dark skinned guy.
No,
He fought Shakur.
now the tall
So,
Japanese guy, the tall Japanese guy that fought
this guy.
Tiafimo.
Okay, all right. Yeah, now that's a pretty decent win. I couldn't really see any good highlights of the guy. From the highlights I seen, he looked really slow, but I'm not gonna doubt the guy. Nakatani's a good fighter, and he's definitely hard to stop. So I'm not gonna look past the guy, but I just think Shakur's skill set and his range generalship, his distance, his overall boxing ability is just better than the guy. So I got Shakur by 12 round unanimous decision.
I feel like Shakur's skills right now, just on a pure skill level, like I feel like he's one of the best overall, like well-rounded boxers in the game right now.
Yeah.
What kind of, because he's in an interesting spot too, where he's in that, I think he's had 19, 20 fights, and now he's moving up in weight. What are some of the fights you'd like to see Shakur in moving forward?
I mean, Shakur. I mean, of course, I like to see Shakur. I love to see Shakur and Tank. That's a fight I would like to see. Shakur and Tank. I mean, obviously, I like to see Shakur and Loma. Any of those guys at 35 for sure.
Yeah, I think he's right in the mix at that weight. One of the guys I wanted to ask you about. Did you get to watch the Showtime fights yesterday?
Yes.
Any thoughts on Elijah Garcia? Another, he was the opening fight, got a knockout win over another unbeaten guy. Another interesting middleweight prospect. Anything? Any thoughts on Elijah Garcia?
I mean, I feel like it was a good fight. I mean, the guy. I feel like it was a good fight. It was a good knockout fight for him. I thought it would be close coming out of the first round, but Elijah landed some good body shots, and the guy looked like he didn't really have anything on his punches, and Elijah wound up, landing a good hook and stopping him. So I feel like he's a good prospect, and somebody to watch out for in the future for sure. I think it's somebody I may have to fight.
Yeah, because and we've talked about this, but the top of middleweight right now, really isn't a top, because like Jamal doesn't fight ever, Andrade move up, Golovkin's old and doesn't really fight anymore, and now there's like this batch of guys, Elijah, Janabek, there's some good young guys coming up, and I think in the next couple of years, once you guys start getting it on, man, the middleweight division is going to be popping again.
Yeah, I agree. Me, Ammo, definitely some guys there.
Did you ever get to watch Janabek?
I got to watch his last fight. Watched a few of his fights. I mean, I feel like he's a good fighter. He's a good power puncher, technical. I feel like my skills are better. I feel like he just he probably has the up on power, but who knows? In a few years, I might match his power. So I've been developing that. So we'll see. I've been working on my power and getting my power stronger the last couple months as well.
Is that a guy that you would like to fight at some point?
Yeah, that's a guy I would like to fight to let me know where I'm at for sure. Any of those guys, it don't matter. Whoever has the belt, who's ever there, it don't matter. I'll fight whoever. I don't really care about the name.
What would be like your dream fight right now? If you had the pick of the litter, you could have anybody you wanted. Who would that be?
Emma Williams.
It'd be a hell of a fight, bro.
Yeah.
And he had a tough fight. I can't remember who the guy's name right at this moment, but his last fight was super entertaining, super tough fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Emma Williams. Felix Cash is another good fighter as well. Janabek too in the future for sure. I would definitely love to get in there with Janabek. I feel like I would like to get a belt first and then go at Janabek, just to achieve. I feel like that's a fight that that will let me know how great I am.
I mean, I love the fight with you and Felix Cash, bro. Especially he's had some great performances. He's had some okay performances, but at his best, like he's very fast, he's very explosive. But I like that fight for you. I feel like that's a very winnable fight and a
Yeah.
fun matchup.
Yeah.
This was a random one I wanted to ask you about, but they made the fight between Teofimo Lopez and Josh Taylor. Do you have any thoughts on that fight and how that might go down?
I didn't like Josh Taylor's last performance, but I mean, I'm not going to doubt him. I'm really a fan of Teofimo, even though he didn't really look good his last fight, and he kind of questioned himself, which is I don't know why. Some people have bad fights. I don't know why people just don't get every fight's not going to be a highlight fight. And I learned that with Victor Tony. But I kind of knew that. Like, there's just some fights. Like, I already knew that. There was just some fights where you just got to get the dub and keep it moving. Like, but some people just got to have that highlight fight every fight, and they're gonna try their best to do it. But I like the fight. I feel like it's an even matchup. A lot of people going to be against him because they feel like he's questioning himself and his head ain't really there. Depending on where Teofimo's head at, I'm gonna rock with Teofimo. I like Teofimo. I'm a big fan of him. So depending on where his head level is at, I'm gonna rock with Teofimo. But there's still a tough, even fight.
What do you think it is for Teo? Like, do you think it's just he's doubting his skills? He's the fight with Gambosis is in his head. Is it a physical thing? Like, what do you think it is that's kind of holding him up the last couple fights?
Um, I don't really know, honestly. I feel like he got to get a new trainer, but I feel like it's his head. But at the same time, I feel like that Cambosis fight just kind of messed him up a little bit.
I almost felt like the Lomachenko fight kind of fucked him up too, because even he wins the first half of the fight super dominant, but then the smaller guy is kind of coming to him and stepping to him, and Lomachenko probably wins the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 rounds of the fight. So I
Yeah,
felt like after that, it was like
I don't know about the last round though.
yeah,
I
no,
mean, if he won the last round, it probably would have been a draw. But I think he because he lost, Loma stepped off. I ain't gonna say he stepped off the gas, but Tia had that little flurry in the last round. I think that kind of won him the fight.
it
But yeah, he
definitely
was right.
it definitely won him the fight, but I think mentally there's something to like, all right, I'm doing really good, I'm winning every round, and then Lomachenko kind of switches gears, and Lopez looked a little confused by it. So I
Yeah,
always felt like there was something that happened after that part of the fight.
I feel you. I feel you. I feel you. Got too big headed.
That's also possible too, right? Like you beat the guy, now all of a sudden you are the guy, and there's
Yeah,
a lot of expectations.
yeah, yeah. It is. It is. He definitely overlooked Cambosis, and he definitely. I ain't gonna say he didn't train hard, because he was in shape. He just overlooked him.
Did you think he beat Sandor Martin?
Oh, it was close, bro. It was close. I ain't gonna say it was close, but I mean, I hate to be the bad, whatever it is, but
The
I
bearer of
mean,
bad news.
yeah, I feel like he did. He lost the fight, but they gave it to him. Yeah, I feel
I
like he
felt
lost
like
it.
it was flip a coin. I think maybe I had it for Tio by a point, but it was like so razor thin, dude.
Yeah,
Do you think it was just Martin's style, or do you think or was it both that Tio had
I
kind
feel
of
like
right and it's a tough style?
I feel like it was his style. It was definitely a style, and I feel like maybe if he was orthodox, it would have been easier. But he was southpaw, so I feel like it was a style plus he was southpaw. So those tricky southpaws, it's a it's a problem. So I feel like it was more of a style.
One of the last things I wanted to ask you about, because it's coming up, it's in the next couple of weeks. You got a pick for Caleb Plant and David Benavidez?
Uh, that's a 50-50 fight. I'm rooting for Caleb Plant, but I don't know, man. That's a tough fight. That's a tough fight, bro.
I
It's a
hear
tough
a
fight.
lot of fighters say that if I've ever asked fighters about this fight, they usually favor Plant, or they're like, I'm rooting for Caleb. But a lot of like people outside of boxing, I think a lot of people just think David's maybe going to walk him down and beat him up. Why do you think it is that
Mm-hmm.
all the fighters kind of lean towards Caleb?
Because I mean, David's being like, I mean, I feel like I don't know. David's acting out of character. I don't like how David is talking though. I just don't like I'll put you in the hospital, like his dad and stuff like that. Like I don't like it, bro. Just come to the fight, bro. I understand like you trying to sell the fight, bro, and all that. Like, oh, look at that fight, guys. They beat the fuck up and stuff like that. I don't know. So I feel like David's trying to be a bully and stuff like that. So I don't know why guys are rooting for Caleb, but Caleb is he's a cool guy. I met him a few times personally. He was very cool in person. So I just fuck with Caleb. I never met Benavidez, so I know Caleb as a person, and I fuck with Caleb. I've seen him a few times at his last camp, so he's cool. I haven't met Benavidez yet. You feel me? If I do, I'm not gonna hold it in against him. I'm still gonna, say what's up, shit like that. He's still probably a cool guy. Everybody says Benavidez is cool, so I'm not gonna hold anything against him. But I know Caleb, and Caleb was a cool guy when I met him all those times. Even when I was an amateur on the team, and I met him, he wasn't acting all like big and bad. You feel me? He was acting like a normal person. So I just rock with Caleb as a person. So that's why.
It's
That's
such a
why I'm
good,
rooting
it's
for
such
him.
a good matchup. Like we need more of
Yeah,
these kinds of matchups in boxing where it's two legit top five guys that are having a mega fight at like the
and it's
perfect.
not even. Is there a belt on the line?
I
I don't
don't.
think there's a belt.
I think David's got a belt. I want to say he does. I know Caleb doesn't because he just lost it to Canelo. But
Yeah,
did he
yeah,
win something against Darrell? Now I'm confused. Maybe he won something vacant against Darrell. Let's look this up.
yeah.
I'm actually curious.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Plant. He is. He does not have a belt. Let's see if David does.
Did Dave out of WBC?
No, I don't think either of them have a belt. So what's on the line? Oh, the WBC interim. They always got to throw that little extra word in there so it's
Mm-hmm.
not a full belt.
Intro, yeah, that intro shit. Yeah, Charlo's been
Interim.
holding the WBC for 30 years in the fucking 160.
Why do you think he never fucking fights?
He's trying to get a big fight, big payday with Canelo. That's probably why. That's the only reason I can see.
He's just waiting so fucking long. That's the thing I like about the young guys that your generation, that you guys are just more active. You want to be seen. You want to be seen by the people, and a lot of guys kind of my age and a little older, Errol, Terrence, Jamal Charlo, a lot of these, they're great fighters, but a lot of them have no problem just not fighting for 18 months at a time.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's crazy. I like to stay busy. I like seeing different highlights. I'm tired. I don't like seeing the same highlights. So, and it's been a quiet 2023 so far. I didn't see any eye opening cards to really fight on. So I was like, nah. They wanted me on the January 15th, but I was like, oh, I didn't say I didn't want to fight on that card, but I was like, ain't really no eye opening in there. I fought on it last year, but I didn't see any big people popping out to that card. So April 8th popped up. Shakur the stablemate, same management team, same promotion. So they said Shakur might be fighting in April. So I was like, yeah, I'll just, you know, go to Nebraska, get some work in, and stay ready.
Do you train in Nebraska? Do you train in Omaha?
I was in I think Waverly or some part. I was with Jamie Belt for a month out there. Turner Crawford, old strength coach. I was out there with him for a month. Got some work in with him. So yeah.
I guess the what it'll come down to is can Benavidez kind of cut the ring off and use his hand speed, and then can Caleb kind of just make him miss and keep him frustrated and try to out.
Yeah,
But
outbox him. But hopefully he can get some pop a little bit. I don't think he can. I mean, I ain't gonna say I don't think he could. He's gonna have to have strong legs to outbox him for 12 rounds straight.
I just feel like just from my point of view, it feels like Caleb's just not quite active enough, and David throws those crazy, fucking
Flurries.
combos.
Yeah, and they got power on him too.
He throws
It's
those
just
Pacquiao combos, bro.
yeah, yeah. It's some pop on him too, though. It's some pop for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
So
very exciting fight. Last thing I want to ask you, bro, do you get to see Creed 3?
no, not yet. I wanted to go see it, but no, I ain't get to see it yet. You got to see it?
I saw it the other day,
Yeah.
Did you grow up on like Rocky movies?
I seen them. I seen them. I watched all of them on TV. I didn't grow up on them, but like I watched them for sure. I watched all of them,
Yeah,
so I
bro.
know.
That was my shit growing up. But
Yeah,
it's a good movie. It's worth going to see. I would say
yeah.
it's probably the worst out of the three Creed movies, but it's still good.
Worst out of the three.
I thought it was I liked the first two a lot. I liked this one
Yeah,
too, but I just felt like of the three, it was my least favorite.
worst. Okay, all right. So I gotta go see it. That's crazy.
You know, Jose Benavidez has like a pretty big part.
Yeah, I seen it. I seen it. He's in there. Crawford's in there. So
Mick Queen is in it.
who's that? Oh, Mick Queen from LA. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
the chick
Okay,
that be
okay,
doing
okay.
the pad work.
Yeah, then the Headbangers guys in there too. So it's a lot of people we know in there. So I'm gonna definitely go check it out.
That's the cool. It's like a cool like for the insiders who know who these people are. It's kind of cool when somebody random from boxing pops up. Is that something you would do if the opportunity came? Like, would you participate in a boxing movie?
I would. I would. I don't know about losing in a boxing movie, but I participated.
You don't even want to lose make believe.
Yeah, I don't want to lose make believe. Maybe after my career is over, we can do something like that. But I definitely want to get into acting, though, for sure. I definitely that's something I want to do after my career, acting, food, restaurant. I did culinary in high school, so food. I'm a big fashion guy, shoes and shit
Oh,
like that.
you
So
went to a culinary school?
I didn't go to culinary school, but in high school, I had a culinary class, so I took culinary arts in high school. So
The Troy
I really
Isley?
did it just to eat, but yeah, I just I learned a little something, something.
You stay chefing it up during camp?
I let the niece, I let perfecting athletes, chef it up for me in camp. Outside of camp, though, I'm gonna chef it up myself. Yeah, I don't make any good training camp. My cravings aren't good for training camp. I'm gonna say that. Yeah,
I hear you.
yeah, yeah.
That's hilarious, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen,
Mm-hmm.
Troy, I appreciate you coming back on, chopping it up for a minute. Anybody, anything, anyone that you want to shout out before we wrap this up?
Shout out my home team, ALX Boxing. Shout out my family, and shout out Top Rank. Shout out my team, J Prince Boxing.
Yes, sir. And of course, to all the fans, make sure you check Troy out on April 8th. He's going to be on the undercard of Shakur Stevenson's next fight at the Prudential Center. I may even be there myself, so maybe I'll get to see it while I'm there.
Pull up, my guy. Pull up for
Yeah,
sure.
bro.
Just
You'll be out
let
in
me
my neck
know.
of the woods.
You from New Jersey?
Yeah, bro.
Okay, okay. So you stay in Jersey?
Yeah, dude, it's funny. I work a lot of concerts at the Prudential Center, so I'm over there all the time.
Yeah, bro. You got to pop out, bro. Got to pop out. It's definitely gonna be a different, new transformer. I think you're gonna like this one. You might be like, this is the best I ever seen you. So definitely should pop out.
I'm looking forward to it, man. And that's the other thing. All you guys that were young fighters in the bubble, like we've gotten to see you from you turn pro to fighting at the Prudential Center. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. The card is dope too. So like every fight is a good fight. So like from one to seven or so, whatever, however many fights there are, every fight, you got me, you got Shushu, you got Kelvin, you got Keyshawn, you got Jared, you
Keyshawn's in
got
a tough
Shakur.
fight too, bro. Keyshawn Davis is in a tough fight for his seventh, eighth fight, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anthony
Mm-hmm.
Yigit's a tough guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think Keyshawn again, I don't know for sure. Keyshawn got it for sure.
He definitely will, but just the fact that he's fighting this dude and Burgos, like he's kind of going the Lomachenko route. Like, he's taking that fast track.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody definitely tune into that fight. I think Troy is one of the most exciting young middleweights in the world. I said that the last time, but I still feel that way. Troy, we'll talk soon, my brother. Good to see you.
Appreciate it, bro. Good to see you too.